Hello everyone, I'm Llamas170 and welcome to another LEGO build and review. To quickly explain what it is, it will be a review of the LEGO sets as well as a video of me building the set and also the final portion of me showing off the final product. My rating will be at the end of the video as well as down in the description. Let's get right into it. Today I'm reviewing and building the Star Wars LEGO set Death Star Trench Run. This is a diorama set, number 75329, contains 665 pieces and is recommended for ages 18 and up. This LEGO set has a retail price of $69.99 according to LEGOstore.com, and not including a shipping fee or tax. That's enough about the outside of the box. Let's talk about inside. Just like any other LEGO set, you are given instructions on how to build the set and, of course, the LEGOs themselves. If this is, one of your first sets you're being made, rejoice because it also includes an orange tool to help you if you make any mistakes throughout your build, which I did. There are no minifigures in this build, so if you were looking for that, this isn't the set for you. After cracking the instructions open and the first 6 bags, you will begin building the base of the diorama. This will mostly be giant pieces, in the build, as well as some decorations along the side of the base. It's very basic. This will be the foundation for everything else you are building. And as far as building Legos goes, this isn't the most exciting portion of the build. The Lego book helps make sure that you know where everything goes, since you're working with a lot of black and gray pieces in the build. So make sure you know where everything is going before you place anything down, or you might have to whip out the orange tool to undo a mistake here or there. This portion is rather easy and straightforward, so just make sure you read the instructions carefully, and you should be fine for this section of the build. Reading studs, counting studs, very useful tool. The second section is a lot more fun than the first. In this section, we'll be focusing on decorating the base, trying to make it look like the trench of the Death Star. This is the start of the fun portion of the build, but it is also where the instructions lack in terms of showing you where everything goes. Placing gray pieces on different colored gray pieces might not be the best way of showing you how it's done, but the book tries its best to show you where everything goes. You might have to do some stud counting here or there to make sure you're placing everything correctly, but if you're calm and patient, count, you'll be fine in this section of the build. If you make any mistakes, make sure to use the included tool. That's what it's there for. This section is also where it includes many of the small pieces of the build. Since it is a rather small form factor of build with almost 700 pieces, a lot of them are going to be super tiny pieces to make sure everything fits. Make sure that you don't lose any of these and you have all your pieces, in place where they won't fall. I would recommend using a bowl if you are in an environment where things could fall really easily. This portion only takes about half of the pieces that will cover the bottom of the portion of the trench. One thing I do love about what Lego does with their sets is includes brightly colored pieces that are just hidden away later. You can once we get to that portion of the build, you can see a giant bright pink and orange piece on the base, but these will be hidden later. Moving on to the third bag and section of the Lego build, you are rounding out more of the base of the trench essentially. Here we are not only adding onto the base, but starting to build off of it a bit with these small pieces. It's here where you can start to see sides of the Death Star starting to form. With the pieces that make it look, more like the outside of the space station, you can see what the Lego engineers were trying to do when they designed this set. Besides the starfighters and that were made in the last section, this is essentially a completed bottom half of the build. Just like before, make sure you count where everything is supposed to go because you are placing gray pieces on other gray pieces. So it can get kind of hard to tell where everything is going and which direction they should be facing. The instructions also have you start placing pieces that are supposed to be angled or moved in a specific way so other pieces can fit nicely. So make sure you don't mess this up or you will have to adjust them later on. Now that we're halfway through the build, remember to like and to subscribe if you like this video, as well as leave a comment down below on what Lego set I should build next in the series. Bag 4 is similar to Bag 1 in many ways. We're now building the wall of the set, so it starts off just very similar to Bag 1. The portion lays out a lot of the gray pieces on a gray background, so again, make sure you aren't colorblind and count the studs to make sure everything is where it should be. If you aren't seeing a pattern being made here, make sure to go back through the video and rewatch. There's a lot of gray on gray action here if you couldn't tell. If you like a lot of varied colors in your build and not just shades of gray, this build is not for you. Before we move on to the next bag, make sure everything is in the correct places, and we'll move on to more exciting things. Bag 5, as in more exciting, I mean more gray on gray action. Bag 5 is, more fun than bag 4. Most of the pieces are tiny, placed in specific ways. Make sure, again, that you're counting sides, like the studs, to see where everything goes. Or you might see that there are, you might be one spot off, or, having half of the portion built, it just won't fit. This bag will have it look closer and closer to how the base of the diorama looks. You can see how it starts looking closer and closer to a space station and how it resembles the Death Star itself. The exciting part is that in this bag, after you're finished with the side panel, you get to attach it to the base of the diorama. This portion is really neat and will show you how to count your studs. Because if you're off by one on the base, it will not fit. So go slowly and make sure you win the race. And you won't have to go back and redo everything that you've done. So yeah, it's just not worth it, man. Just go slow and steady. Bag 6 is essentially the minifigure bag. Even though there are no minifigures in this build, we'll be making the X-Wing, 2 TIE Fighters, and Darth Vader's ship. This is probably the best bag since you are building the final touches of the build. The mini ships look amazing. The way they are molded are really good, and it brings out the entire piece. It's probably the biggest reason why I purchased this set in the first place. I just love how they're able to create small versions of the ship and still have them look good. Placing mini ships on their stands can be a bit rough, but since, I don't want to accidentally destroy the stand while placing it. So I made sure to place the ship on first, then connect to the base of the build. So that's it. Once you have all the ships and turret placed on, you're done. So let's get right into the review. Overall, I wasn't really impressed by this build like I thought I would be. When I first saw it, I was in disbelief. It looks so cool. I had never built a diorama before. So, I jumped on it since it was on sale. After building it, though, it just wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. For reference, the previous build, I did Kenobi's ship. I had a blast, even though it wasn't that big of a build. This one was over double the pieces, but I didn't have that much fun. The gray on gray that, the building brings was rather boring to me, really. And it was hard to figure out where things were in the right places. Even though the build advertises 665 pieces, almost all of them are super tiny. And, these pieces that they just have to be that way to fit on the tiny form factor of the build. I figured that was going to be the case, but I didn't expect it on this level. After this build, I don't think I'll make another diorama for a long time, especially that Yoda diorama where it's like it says 1,000 pieces or whatever, but like 100, 200 of those pieces are just like the bog green single blocks, For the reduced price, I still don't think it was really worth it for me and would rather prefer to get this for like $40 max. I would much rather make, just make a nice ship like in my previous video or my next video coming out soon. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on that build. After all that said, my final thoughts on this Lego set are, it's not the best, and I don't think I'm going to get a diorama anytime soon. So my final rating is 5 out of 10. That's it for the review. The rest of the video is a speed build of my Twitch VOD where I build the set live on Twitch. If you're interested in watching these live, go drop a follow on my channel. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll catch you all on the next one. See you then.